Good evening to all of you. So Aryavaidishala very happily and wholeheartedly welcomes all the dignitary attendees over here who have joined in here to be a part of this webinar. So this is going to be our second one in the series which we are organizing. So before moving on to the main part of the program, I would like to introduce the panelists from the part of Aryavaidishala who would be with us this evening. So I would like to mention that our Chief Physician, Dr. P.M. Varia sir, has kindly consented to be present with us this evening and to extend his support as and when required. Thank you so much, sir, and I would like to welcome you formally to this event, sir. So our additional Chief Physician and Supran, Dr. K. Muralidharan sir, is also present with us. May I welcome formally to this session, sir. Thank you, sir. So the third member would be Dr. P.R. Ramesh sir. Sir heads our clinical research department. I would like to welcome you to this event, sir. Please join us. So the main speaker for this evening would be Dr. A.R. Santosh sir. Sir is serving as a Deputy Chief Physician in our Ayurvedic Hospital and Research Center, Kottagam. So sir would be talking on the theme, Protect Your Immunity. Welcome, sir. So followed by the talk, there will be a session for question and answers. The participants may please put their queries or doubts in the chat box. We shall receive it here and we will be responding to you. All the panelists will be there to respond to your doubts or queries or whatever you feel like asking. Without much of introduction, we may move on to the main part of the program. I request Dr. Santosh sir to proceed with his speech. Please, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Sunita. Good evening to all. Hope I am audible to you, everyone.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please continue, sir.
Yeah. Thank you. Respected panelists, Dr. K. Muralidharan sir and Dr. P.R. Ramesh sir, and my dear viewers. Praying Lord Vishwambhara, our presiding deity, and paying homage to our founder, Vaidyaratnam P.S. Varia. I'll be giving a short lecture on the importance of Ayurveda for immunity. All of you will be very familiar with the term immunity, especially in this pandemic scenario of COVID-19. These are all what I will be discussing today. The presentation will be for about 30 minutes. Contents first definition immunity, then ultimate protection, factors influencing immunity, Ayurvedic perspective and keywords, methods and means to improve immunity, then conclusion. We can start with the definition of immunity. It is a capability of living beings to resist infection or toxin. That can be called as resistance power also. It offers protection from unfavorable factors like climate, food, pollution, environment, allergic agents, occupational and lifestyle diseases. So as to make them insusceptible to diseases caused by them. The ultimate protection, in a nutshell, immunity means ultimate protection of body from diseases with innate healing potential and capacity to do work efficiently. There are many factors connected with immunity, but the most important factors I have listed here: hereditary, genetic factors, then mental stress. These are the main important 2 points. Then thoughts and contact, dynamic metabolism, that is digestion related, food related also. Then sleep, exercise and sex, that is lifestyle related. Then season and environment. Then certain medicines continuous usage of some medicines may make the immunity very less. And then microbiome. Microbiome is the essential bacteria for human development, immunity, and nutrition. Autoimmune diseases such as diabetes mellitus, then rheumatoid arthritis, muscular dystrophy, multiple sclerosis, fibromyalgia are associated with this dysfunction of the microbiome. Proper habits of food, sleep, exercise, and sex are recommended in Ayurveda. These are called as Tristhuna. We are part of the nature and we are supposed to lead a life which should not be against the nature or eco-friendly. We should. Then the Ayurvedic perspective we can just look into. Immunity is explained in Ayurveda as Vyadhi Kshamatva. Vyadhi means disease. Kshamatva means capacity to fight against infection or against manifestation of infection. And this is the word that is a Shakespearean word. This plus is. Ease means all of we know that very easy or relaxed state of our body, mind, everything. This means just opposite. So without relief or without ease. Then key words in Ayurveda used to denote immunity or Vyadhi Kshamatvam is two words are there, Balam and Ojas. Then we can just look into the definition of Balam. That is the capacity of the person to resist and defend any disease with good stamina level. There are certain more than one or two points I have to make about Balam. Different types of Balam described in Ayurveda, mainly Jadharagini Balam, then Dhattvagini Balam, then Sarira Balam, even Vyadhi Balam, the strength of the disease, that also mentioned in our science. Then Balam is classified mainly into three. They are Sakajam or innate, inborn, then Kalajam, season and age related, then Yuktikritam, acquired immunity. The immunity which is present by birth without having prior exposure to pathogenic microorganisms, including bacteria, virus, fungi, etc., is called as innate immunity or inborn immunity. On the other hand, the acquired immunity develops only when our body is exposed to any antigenic substance. In our science, it is mentioned that is Shuklartavasthair Janmado Vishayaneva Vishakrame. So at the time of conceiving the fetus, then itself the prakriti or body constitution of the child is getting fixed. So it is very important that that time, that health of the parents should be peak. Then only the next generation or the child's health will be safe. So in olden times, there was a custom to give some medicated milk, some gingerly seeds, everything before that getting conceived. Then these concepts coincide with the understanding of modern science also. Innate immunity is as Sakaja Balam, then acquired immunity is Yuktikrita Balam. Around 3,000 or 4,000 years back, our Acharyas could explain it as Sakajam and Yuktikritam respectively. Then I will try to explain what is Kalaja Balam. Our ancients explain it as the change in the immunity level with age and season mainly. With the age, I have noted here that for children, that Dhatu Balam, Dhatu means Sapta Dhadus are there, Rasam or Kail, Rektam, Mamsam, Medasa, Asti, Majja, Shukla. So if these 7 of the Dhadus are apurna in children. That will not be matured, or it will be in the purna state. So children are vulnerable, easily vulnerable, up to the age of 10. Then after 10, up to 60, we can say, adults or youth. Then Purna Dhatu Balam will be there. It will be complete. The Dhatu level, everything will be complete and satisfactorily good in state. Then elders, after the age of 60, it will become Kshina Dhatu Balam, or that also elders will be very vulnerable to all the diseases. So they are not exposed to pandemic situation like this before 10 and after 60. That may be one of the reasons. In olden time also, it was found. Then season. In the rainy season, the Dhatu Balam will be very kshina, very, very weak. Then in the Vasanta Ritu or spring, it is called Ritu, that season. Spring, it will be Purna Dhatu Balam. Our immunity will be in peak time. Then I will try to explain what is Ojas. There is a little bit of difference between Balam and Ojas. Balam can be translated into strength of our body. Ojas is Ojas Tejasu Dhadunam Shuklandanam Param Smridam. It is the glory or Tejas of all the Dhadus, Sapta Dhadus, and the body. It controls even Balam. That is the difference between Ojas and Balam. Not only that, that is Hridisthidam. Just a minute. Ojas Tejasu Dhadunam Shuklandanam Param Smridam Hridayastham Abhi. It is situated in heart only, but Vyabhi. It travel around the body, and Vyabhi, all the functional activities it controls. Ojas. That is the description of Ojas. Not only that, without Ojas, the life is impossible. Yen nashe niyadam nasho yasmin tishtati tishtati. That is the description mentioned by our acharyas, especially in Ashtanga Hridaya, one of the classics of Ayurveda. Then the functional systems. We have organ systems, sensory motor systems, cognitive system as well. So organ systems means digestive system, then a skeletal system, reproductive system, respiratory system, everything. Then sensory motor, sensory organs. We have eye, ear, everything. So sensory motor system includes vision, hearing, touch, smell, taste, etc. Then cognitive, memory-based behavioral senses like perception, judgment, reasoning, coordination, etc. If these three systems are functionally well and good, then that person can be called as fully fit. Around 4,000 years back, Charagacharya has mentioned a fit person can be called as Swastha. It is called in Ayurveda as Swastha. There are two regimens, Swasthavrta and Adharavrta. We give importance to Swasthavrta, that regimen to be obeyed by or to be done by the person without any disease. That we give the preference to Swasthavrta. So, Samadosha Samaganisha Samadhadu Malakriya Prasannatmendriya Mana Swasthaitya Vidide. That is the definition of Swastha or fit, fully fit man by, it was written by Charagacharya. Whenever that doshas, Vadam, Pittam, Kapam, then Saptadhadus, as I mentioned earlier, Rasasrang, Mamsamedosti, Majja Shukla, if they are intact, and Prasannatmendriya Mana, whenever the Atma, soul, Mana, mind, then Indriyas, sensory organs, they are, if they are very pleasant, Prasanna, then that man or person can be called as fully fit. That is a definition by Charagacharya. It is in the WHO also, it also coincides with the WHO definition for a healthy person. Very similar definition they have also done. There are many methods and means to maintain and improve immunity. In short, I have classified in diet, lifestyle mainly. That if the innate immunity is sufficient enough, we have to be careful that we should take healthy, moderate, natural diet. And about lifestyle, that should be also healthy, balanced, and happy lifestyle. If these two, diet and lifestyle, don't work out, then only medication needed. That also in holistic approach Ayurveda believes. Then diet. Food is medicine, medicine is food. There is a saying. So diet is very important according to Ayurveda also. Because in Ashtanga Hridayam, 3 chapters, Matra Siddhyam, Anna Jnanam, Anna Samraksha. 3 chapters, fully it is described about diet only. Not only that, in Dinacharya, daily routine, as well as Ruducharya, seasonal routine regimen, the diet is specifically described. Not only that, any disease, for example, rheumatoid arthritis, whatever food we have to avoid, we have to take, everything explained in Ayurveda in detail. So, not only that, Nityam Sarvarasabhyasa Bhavatyaroga, a lot of points Acharyas have told. Because whenever we used to take all the rasas, Swadvamala, Lavana, Tiktoshna, Kashayaka, everything, Shad rasas are there. 6 tastes, we can say. Mathura, Amla, then Lavana, salt, then astringent, bitter, and hot. If we use these 6 rasas in a normal way, equally, then there will not be any disease. That is the description. Not only that, Acharyas have told that half of our stomach should be filled with solid food, then the quarter with water, then the remaining quarter to be left empty. That is the description. And only when we are very hungry, Jirne hidam midam chadya, that is the description. Whenever the previous food is being digested, then only the next food should be taken. A lot of detailed definitions have been made by our Acharyas. So, accustomed, that diet should be accustomed or inured. It should be very familiar to us. If it is traditional, then the emphasis, there should be some emphasis to be given for the traditional food also. It is very prevalent in all over India that according to the place in Kerala, it will be one traditional foods. In Tamil Nadu, it will be different, like that. So we have to take the traditional food if possible. Then the diet should be adequate or sufficient. Then it should be appropriate. The time, everything should be appropriate. Then easily digestible diet. Guru and Lekhu. In Matra Siddhyam, there is a description that if it is very guru or heavy, we should reduce the matra, the dose, or the quantity we should reduce. Then natural, it should be natural, diet should be. Because it should not be unnatural like fast food or junk food, etc. Then it will be harmful. So the diet should be, as much as possible, it should be natural. Then if possible, immunity building food like ginger, pepper, then turmeric, everything should be added in the food if possible. Then next is lifestyle. Lifestyle should be healthy, balanced, and happy lifestyle. well controlled and well contented lifestyle will be definitely, it will be complacent. It will give a happy life, definitely. Then, not only that, it gives out a biological rhythm to life. That is a main point. In Dinacharya, as I mentioned earlier, covers all the physical, mental, and verbal virtues that make life comfortable. In Dinacharya, explains, the Acharyas have explained when to get up, how to brush your teeth, exercise routine, everything Acharyas have mentioned. Ayurveda says that there are many physical changes in our body according to each season also, Ritucharya. And what are the lifestyle changes that need to be made accordingly? There are a lot of ethical advices and some code of conduct in Dinacharya. Satvritam, it is called as Atmaval Sadatam Pashedapi Kida Pipiligam and Sukhartha Sarvabhutana Mada Sarva Pravartaya Sukham Chanavina Dharma Tasman Dharma Barokave. We should be dharmic. We are not supposed to be adharmic. Wickedness we have to avoid. That everything Acharya has explained in detail. Not only that, personal hygiene and that behavior to others, everything it is explained. The Acharya has emphasized that Sukham Chana Vina Dharma. Without dharma, there will not be any permanent happiness. So, Dharma Paro Bhavel. That is the advice. Excuse me. And in Roganulpadaniyam, one chapter, Acharyas explained about 14 Vegas, natural urges. That should not be controlled artificially. That should not be induced artificially. Like bowel, urine, sleep, etc. Then some manovikara or ragadiroga. We give preference to ragadiroga, and also the mind will get affected with anger, etc. So we have to control those vegas also, urges also. That also mentioned. Then comes the medication. Our medication should be comprehensive, holistic approach. We give medication. We implement a treatment plan wherein the health and wellness depend on a delicate balance between the mind, body, and spirit. Then coming to the medicines, it can be called as tailor-made. That is, person to person, it may differ. For the same disease, for different people, different patients, we will prescribe different medicines according to his Dushyam Desham Balangalam Analam Prakriti Maya. A lot of factors are explained. Mainly metabolism, season, innate immunity, then constitution, then of the body, age, then environment, place of birth, place of settlement, etc. Then digestive power. We give very importance to the digestive power and absorption play a very good role in metabolism according to Ayurveda. If the metabolism is intact, immunomodulation will be quite efficacious. Most of the Ayurvedic medicines are immunomodulatory in nature. Immunomodulatory means that it will not suppress or it will not boost. It will, whenever any of the doshas increase, then it will try to reduce it. If anything reduced, it will try to increase. That is called immunomodulatory. Then some drugs have been identified. A lot of research works, a lot of papers have been published ashwagandha, turmeric, ginger, pepper. These are very effective immunomodulators. Especially turmeric, exclusively it is anti-inflammatory and anti-cancerous properties it has. Then emotional stabilizers. As I mentioned earlier, this Ragadi Rogan, we start with that sloga by Vagbhada, Ragadi Rogan. So before physical ailments, Acharya has told that Ragadi Roga, that is emotional, everything. So for those stress, exercises like yoga, namaskar, and some breath control like pranayama, everything, then meditation. If these exercises don't work, then we can opt medication like Rasayana and detoxification method like Panchakarma. So we can say the emotional stabilizers, some of the emotional stabilizers, these exercises and medication. Then Rasayana. What do you mean by Rasayana? It is rejuvenating, then revitalizing, immunomodulatory as well. Rejuvenating means it will restore the energy, youth, and vigor. Then revitalizing, action of inspiring something with new vitality. That is called as revitalizing. Immunomodulatory, I have told just before. Then some of the formulations, Rasayana formulation, Chavanaprash, all might have heard. Brahma Rasayanam, Kushman Rasayanam, then Agastya Rasayanam, Desamula Rasayanam, etc. Indugantam, everything. A lot of formulations are available in the market also. Then coming to the intensive therapy, we call it as Panchakarma, detoxification method. Pancha means 5, karmas means procedures. Enema, we give some oil and medicated decoction through anus. Then purgation, laxative, emesis, vomiting, induced vomiting. Then bloodletting like Siravetam as well as Jalokavataranam, leech therapy. Then nasal administration of medicines called Nasya. These are to be done under strict medical supervision only. A lot of patients from all over India and even from abroad, more than 50 countries come to Kottakkal every year for this detoxification procedure being done successfully. And some pre and post Panchakarma procedures also are there. Pre Panchakarma procedures are called as Purva Karma. Post Panchakarma procedures are called as Paschat Karma. Pre Panchakarma procedures are some of the oil massages like Pirichil, everything. Some people think that only that oil massage Ayurveda has. No, it is not correct. We have several classical treatments like Panchakarma. And what is the benefit of detoxification? That is a point I have noted here. Even if our daily digestive and excretory systems seem to be intact, there is every chance to get accumulated that the partially metabolized substances in our body. Detoxification helps to eradicate these substances from our body before they become toxic in nature. That is very important point. And let me conclude here. Ayurveda being a way of life, it emphasizes on holistic approach of dietary changes, lifestyle changes, avoiding bad habits, cleansing practices, including Panchakarma and Rasayana to combat great diseases like the one we are facing now. And secondly, to make the future generation disease-free, let us embrace the Ayurvedic way to maintain a vibrant immunity. Stay hale and healthy. Thank you. I extend my sincere gratitude to the viewers of your valuable time and consideration. Namaskaram. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Santosh sir. Sir's presentation has covered almost all the multifactorial aspects related to immunity, the body's self-defense mechanism, and also the outlook of Ayurveda with regard to that particular subject, and also about the measures to enhance it, and also the factors which influence it. All the things were covered in sir's presentation. Thank you, sir. So I hope we may move on to the discussion as well as the question answer session. So I would like to put forth the questions which received. The first one, I would like to request Dr. P.R. Ramesh sir to respond. Sir, we have received a pretty good number of questions regarding food, diet. So the question is, what are the healthy timings to have food for a growing person and a senior citizen in a metro city? That is a question which we received here, sir. So please unmute your. Okay, thank you, sir. Okay.
Good evening, everybody. I think it's a very relevant question. But I would like to mention is that actually each one need to understand that each body is different. It is unique. Our immune system, everything is unique. So that is the reason Dr. Santosh has very clearly mentioned that actually our traditional food, because whatever we have been used to, that kind of food will always be helpful for us. We need not change our diet completely to a new for boosting up immunity and all. What is our traditional diet, what we were using? That definitely should be good for in all aspects to us. That is one aspect I would like to tell you. Second thing, the matra. One important aspect Dr. Santosh was highlighted here is that actually how much you have to eat. You see the digestion. Here now in modern era, what generally happens is that actually we fix up timing, we fix up menu, and we keep on doing that as a daily routine every day. Whereas these varieties of food can be relished. The traditional food, if you are, and once in a while, the other food also can be mixed. There is no issue. But the timing always, because breakfast, you should have body has a biological rhythm. So always have certain timings according to our lifestyle, because there may be people working late at night, even if it is a senior citizen. So at that time, how do we adjust our timing and how do we take the food and how do we digest it? Because digestion is very, very important, not the time. Because morning, if you take something by the lunch time, you should feel hungry. Because once you feel hungry, only you have the next food. So in between, if you want to have something, you can have some snacks or a glass of juice or anything like buttermilk, whatever healthy food, because this drinks, cold drinks, artificially flavored drinks, food which contain preservatives, bakery items, and food that is processed, deep fried. This is what actually creating problem. So a natural food, which is our traditional food, quantity is according to our appetite or according to our digestion, we are planning it, and in the right timing. This is what, in a nutshell, we need to very, very, very seriously think about when you discuss about food. But of course, the Ayurveda always give preference to more fruits and vegetables which contain a lot of antioxidants and all. So naturally, if you take those things more, but Ayurveda is not promoting vegetarianism alone. It discusses about fishes and other aspects also. But anything deep fried may not be good. So I think with these basic principles, if you plan your diet schedule, that will be healthier for you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So, Dr. Murli, sir, may I put one question for you to respond, sir, please? Sir, there is one question about the medicines which could be used in this particular COVID background. In the backdrop of this pandemic, one person is very eager to know about the suitable kind of medicines which we would be able to suggest. And also specifically about the Chyavanprash, sir, Chyavanprasham. They have asked to describe a little bit of the details of this Chyavanprasham. Sir, would you please?
Okay, Dr. Sridhar, can I hear? Am I audible? Am I audible?
Sure, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Of course.
Okay. Now let's start with Chyavanprash. First of all, what I have to tell about it is it's a nutritious and delicious medicine. Everyone is looking for that, a nutritious medicine as well as a delicious medicine. If you are searching for a medicine of that sort, then take Chyavanprash. That's the first thing I have to tell you. And naturally, Chyavanprasham is the medicine of choice. It has become a synonym of Ayurveda nowadays. When you speak of Ayurveda, the first question comes from the listener is, what is Chyavanprasham? How much quantity I should take? When I should take? These are the frequently asked questions. So I would like to dwell upon for some time about Chyavanprasham. You know, you might have heard of the story of Chyavanprasham. Chavana, a Rishi, sage, due to circumstantial reasons, he married an young girl. And naturally, due to old age, he could not do justice to his family life. Then he took help from Ashwini Devas. Ashwini Devas, the very famous twin physicians. They made a special formula for Chavana, and that is called Chyavanprasha. It is in modern terms, we should say, it's a nutraceutical. What is a nutraceutical? It's a food or parts of a food that provide medical or health benefits. That means Chyavanprasha is a medicine as well as a food. That is the particularity of it. Then, not only that, why it is a medicine? It is used for many diseases. It has got therapeutic potential for Chyavanprasha is very wide. Physicians are using it for hridrogam, for heart diseases, for intermittent fever, for this respiratory infections, and all such sort of things. It is widely used, prescribed by the physicians. One thing. And secondly, about Chyavanprasha, when we speak of Chyavanprasha, the most important thing is that it is actually a product introduced by Ashwini Devas. But it is not named after Ashwini Devas. It is named after Chavana, who was the first consumer of it. You see the change of it? They gave credit to Chavana. It is known as Chyavanprasha, not by Ashwini Deva Prasha. No. That is the real philosophy behind it. That is one thing. And secondly, what I would like to tell about Chyavanprasha is the word Chavana has a different meaning. What is it? The very word Chavana has a different meaning. It means that it is something trickling down. It is regenerating. That shows it is an indication of a condition, not a person. What does it mean? In any condition which is running a downhill course, we can administer or you can use Chyavanprasha in that condition. Then what does it do? As I told you, it is a nutraceutical product. It has got both the effects. As a medicine, it serves the purpose and also is a medicine. Then what is how much quantity should we take? If it's a food, if you are taking it as food, in place of breakfast, you take Chyavanprasha. Or in place of this dinner, you take Chyavanprasha. That is the best way of taking it. Take sufficient quantity to satisfy your hunger. That much quantity you can take. That will definitely help you improve the immunity also. That is what is needed during this pandemic period. We have to improve our immunity. Why immunity is so important? That's the next question. Because the the virus is so virulent. So we have to overcome the strength of the virulence of the virus. So we have to be more competent to fight with it. That way, Chavanapranasham is going to be the medicine of choice during pandemic days for building immunity. So naturally, a question could be asked. It contains a lot of sugar, it contains ghee, it contains so many things. How can we, everybody can take it? There should be some restrictions. Naturally, yes. Ayurveda Shala has understood that problem. It is why Ayurveda Shala has brought out another medicine called Sea Health. It is similar formula and it does not contain anything. It does contain sugar. It's available without sugar. It does not contain ghee. So that way, it is safe to take by diabetic patients or patients having high cholesterol and all of that. They can very safely take that. That is another medicine I have to just mention it here. Similarly, when it comes to very specific question about this COVID, it has got some bad impact on cardiopulmonary system. That is well proved now. That the medicine should be very specific, which should be able to improve the strength and function of cardiopulmonary system. Then the choice will be different. Then we have to go for Agastya Rasayana. That is another medicine. And Kushmandala Rasayana, as described by Dr. Santosh. So there are any number of medicine which can be used during COVID, post-COVID period, and also as a prevention. In both ways, this can be used. So it is better to consult a physician personally and get a good prescription. I have just provided some general information about certain products. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for all the information which you shared with the audience. Ramesh sir, there is one more question about the food. The question is, does Ayurveda support vegetables and fruits from foreign countries? They have given an example, avocado, which has 15 to 30% fat. So would you please respond to it? So please.
Okay, and now audible?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Avocado, in many aspects, it is good. But what we need to understand is that Ayurveda always discusses about each body is different, each person is different, each system is different. So we need to take it and see whether it is suiting to our body or is it creating any problem for us. Because that is the best way of doing things. And that is the reason I explained that actually the traditional diet, because traditional diet, our ancestors have been using it for quite some time and we have been very familiar with that kind of diet. And that may be helping to improve our immunity by improving the microbiota that we have. That may be nourishing the tissues, because why I am putting it in this way, in the new research of microbiota, it is very clearly mentioning that even the genetic disorders also is, the microbiota is more responsible than your genes. So the food has a definite role on your microbiota and immunity definitely. So the specific question, avocado, is I can only say that you take it and observe whether it is creating any problem for you. If it is not, it may be the same way in the case of milk. Milk, if you take milk from the same glass, one person takes milk, he gets diarrhea. Another person take it from the same glass, he gets constipation. Why? Because it is because of the microbiome that we have. So this difference is there in each and every food. So it is always better that you use it, observe closely, and you are the best person, not a doctor. You are the best person to assess it. Have I answered? Thank you.
Sure, sir. Thank you, sir. Santosh sir, would you please just explain the connection between allergy and immunity?
Yeah. Allergy, a lot, different types of allergies are there. Food allergy, because of some viruddhahara, everything, we have reference with the Ayurveda. Then allergic to atmosphere, environment, pollen, etc. are there. Dust allergy is there. Then allergic bronchial asthma is there. A lot of that antigen and antibody reaction because of that. Whenever the immunity is at its peak level, then there will be less chance to get these type of allergies. Definitely, it is proven also. Some places, if the atmospheric or fuel, everything, because of these vehicles, allergy will be more than other states. So whenever they constantly take that medicines like Agastya Rasayanam or Kushmandra Rasayanam or Chyawanprash, there is less chance to get the allergic sneezing or anything, any symptoms. That is, in practice, that is this is to share with you.
Thank you, sir. Sir's narration actually answered one more question. Somebody had asked about the medicines which one should take to boost the immunity and all. So, sir has mentioned the names of a few medicines also. Murli, sir, would you please explain about autoimmune diseases, sir?
Yes, autoimmune disease is very familiar to nowadays. There are any number of diseases belonging to this group. Here, we should understand what autoimmune disease is. Primarily, we know that what are the primary functions of immune system? It is, one is defending, another is attacking. Our body immunity, what immune system is doing? They are defending all sort of attacks, invaded from invaders, enemies, and also attacking. If there is a problem against the life, they start attacking. That is the prime responsibility of the function of the immune system. Yes. Then what does it mean? It's like having a dog in the house. We expect the dog to protect us from enemies, right? We expect the dog to protect us from enemies. Suppose if the dog becomes mad, what will happen? It cannot sense the difference between his owner and the enemies. It starts biting the owner. Like that, the immune system, when it is deranged, when it loses its natural functions, it may start eating or attacking our own cells. That is what is happening in autoimmune diseases. Our own defense system, our own immune system started functioning against us. That is what that gives. That is the basic cause of autoimmune diseases. So very difficult to treat. The enemy is not outside our body; it is inside our body. So we cannot just simply kill it. We have to cope up with that. We have to put it on the rail back. The immune system becomes denatured. That denatured immune system should be put back to natural immune system. So it is not an easy task. It is why the autoimmune diseases are less amenable to the treatment. But Ayurveda has certain ways of tackling all these problems. It's why we are able to treat autoimmune diseases like rheumatoid arthritis or multiple sclerosis or such sort of things, even psoriasis. In a sense, it is an autoimmune disease. So this is what the brief explanation I can give this much to you in this context. It needs a lot of explanation. It cannot be briefed within a few minutes. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Ramesh sir, we have received some questions specifically about medicines. One is about Bhumi Amlaki Swarasa, sir. It's antiviral activity. That is one query. And also about the Ayushkwatha Churnam and Ashwagandha Churnam. Would you please explain about it, all those things, sir?
Yeah. Okay. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Regarding Bhumi Amalaki, we need to study more, because why I'm telling you this COVID virus is much virulent and not amenable like other viruses, because it is our experience I'm sharing you, because our some preliminary studies are going on COVID cell lines, but with some medicines. So that shows that actually the reaction is not as easy as in some other viruses. So Bhumi Amalaki, we cannot simply say that actually it has got antiviral property, because we have to specifically do the test in COVID cell lines, and then only we comment upon that. That is one aspect. Second thing, regarding this Ayushkwatha Churnam, you can even access one, because I have just noted down. Our CM, Center for Medicine and Plant Research, they have done a study on Ayushkwatha Churnam. You may be knowing that it contains mainly tulasi in 4 parts and 2 parts of dalchini, that is cinnamon, and ginger or dried ginger. And the one part is this pepper, black pepper. This is the combination of Ayushkwatha Churnam. The combination was tested in the CMPR with HPTLC and mass spectroscopy also. The analysis has shown a variety of phytochemicals with numerous biological properties like immunomodulatory, anti-inflammatory, antioxidant activities. So it is published in Research Square in 2020 only it is published. So you can get more details of Ayushkwatha Churnam in that. That is one thing. Second aspect is that all spices, the new researchers show that it contain oxygen radical absorbent capacity is very much there more on this all spices. So specifically, all these members have more that quality, and it reduces viral load also. This is what I have read in many of the advanced research journals. So that helps in both ways, as an immunomodulation as well as reducing the viral load. So this is one aspect. Secondly, regarding Ashwagandha. Ashwagandha, a lot of studies have been done in Ashwagandha. So one specific paper, if possible, why I am putting it in this way, it is possible for you to read it in the April issue of Current Science by Dr. Bhushan Padwardhan, who is the Vice Chancellor of Symbiosis University, who is a scientist who has done a lot of work on Ashwagandha. So especially in the COVID scenario, he has done some in-depth thinking about the activities of Ashwagandha with his previous experiences. Again, antioxidant, immunomodulatory, adaptogenic. That is one property where the stress also is very much addressed here. Cardioprotective, which is now Murali sir was telling about the cardiopulmonary issues of COVID, post-COVID issues are there. So Ashwagandha has got a cardioprotective action and anti-inflammatory. Again, inflammation is one of the process when the virus goes inside, inflammatory issues happens and cytokine storm happens. So all these anti-inflammatory action, and it enhances the memory also, and anti-glycation activity also ashwagandha has. Anti-glycation in diabetes mellitus and all, you have the process called glycation. The joints become stiff, the tissues become dumped with proteins which really indirectly or negatively affect your quality of life and all. So there all ashwagandha has a role. So these are the modern researches I am just sharing for your convenience. You can go to the article and study more. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the detailed explanation. Santosh sir, though already you had mentioned about this exercise and other factors which is influencing one's immunity, there is a question about lifestyle disciplining and immunity. Would you please just put a little more?
Pardon?
Lifestyle disciplining, lifestyle and immunity, sir.
Yeah. Lifestyle, it is very much interconnected, actually. In Dinacharya Adhyayam, as I mentioned in the presentation, early to bed, early from bed, for sleeping also, we are supposed to go to bed early and early from bed also. Brahme muhurta uttishya susto rakshartam ayusha. So, for the sake of good life, we have to get up early morning. That may be one of the reasons every religion say that get up early morning. Every church, mosque, a temple, everything opens at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, like that. So we have very important thing about sleeping hours as well. So not only that, after getting up, we have to do brushing, then how to do oil massage, then how to take bath, then what about that explained about exercises, then personal hygiene, then physical, mental and verbal virtues, we have to keep it up. Behavior, Purvabhibhashi, Sumukha Sushila, Karuna Mrdu, everything is explained in Ayurveda. So if we live according to the advices by Acharya, then there will be definitely some difference in our immunity level and health. I think so. Okay. Is it satisfactory? I don't know.
Sure, sir. Sure. Thank you, sir. Ramesh sir, there is one question whether intake of ginger and pepper increase hyperacidity. Has it got any connection with the hyperacidity? That is the question, sir.
That's a very important question. That may be in some cases, because people who have a less mucosal resistance to ginger and pepper definitely may develop hyperacidity. So at that time, what we need to do that, actually there are so many methods, because ginger can be prepared in milk, because Ayurveda describes about ginger milk. Ginger milk is something which is very soothing. It does not, in many number of cases, it actually reduces acidity. Like in the case of pepper also, we may have to use it in a combination or in small quantity and small divided dose. So those things, and if that is not suiting to you, there are so many other options which your doctor can suggest you according to your, issues of sensitivity of the stomach. So you need not be dependent upon ginger and pepper alone. So this is in a nutshell, because it can, in some cases it can.
Okay, sir. So we have come almost to the end of the question and answer session. So there are a few more questions which we had received here, but many of those questions appear to be requiring personal consultation. So please feel free to contact our doctors through email or through our website. I shall indicate the email ID, mail@aryavedishala.com, or please visit our website www.aryavedishala.com. And other non-medical queries, you may please contact our marketing department in the email ID marketing@aryavedishala.com. So we hope that this session has proven to be fruitful to all of you. We are all very happy to have all of you here with us this evening. Thank you so much for joining us in this webinar session. Thank you all once again.